It's about the wrestlers with your host, Crazy Joe, on the Total Chaos Pecaw.
And this is the second half of the Aaron Williams show, and we are going to be talking about his matches from the past and future. And can you tell our listeners how many matches you had?
I think I've had roughly in the ballpark of 1,500 or more matches in my career. I mean, I've had a pretty long career starting in like 2001. And so it's about 13 years or so. And for a very long period of time, I would wrestle 3 to 4 times a week or something. Currently on that kind of type of schedule now, where I wrestle at least at the bare minimum, at least twice to 3 times a week, sometimes more. And yeah, so I mean, I'd still like to work more than I already do, but yeah, I've had quite a few matches in my day.
Well, if you want to talk about all your matches, we got all night for you, my friend.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think I can remember all of them, but you know, there's some that stick out to me, and some guys that I've really enjoyed having matches with, and so you know, some of those we can probably get into, and yeah, hopefully we'll have a good time.
Tell our listeners about the up-and-coming wrestlers you wrestled with.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's kind of a tough question, because literally there's like people that are up and coming that I deal with on a pretty regular basis up in Dayton, Ohio. For RockStar Pro, I think almost everybody up there is nearly everybody up there is an up-and-coming talent. But there are a lot of guys like Micah Silva. I think he wrestles out of the Indiana area. He's a talented young man. Shane Mercer is also a very talented young guy that I've had the opportunity to work with a few times. Some of the guys out of Dayton are Kyle Maverick, who's not really necessarily a young guy. He's been around for a while, but I don't think anybody has really taken too much notice of him, and he seems to get better every time I see him wrestle. Another guy who hasn't been around for a very long time I talked about it was in the part 1 of this was Nate Wings. Nate Wings is a fantastic young wrestler who's got plenty of years left in the business. Just there's so many guys. I don't want to leave any out, but there really legitimately is like just so many young dudes. There's a couple of guys that came out of the RockStar Pro school, Clayton Jackson and Zachary Wentz, that are very good young talents and very respectful, and they have if they play their cards right, I would think they both have good longevity in the business. And I don't know if you know a guy by the name of James Avery. He has a school out in I want to say Canton, Ohio. I'm not sure if that's completely accurate. I can't remember the name of the school right now, unfortunately, but he like keeps on pushing guys out of that school that and he knows what he's doing. He went to he spent time at Dory Funk's camps and so on and so forth. So he definitely knows what he's doing. One of the guys that he pushed out of his camp was a guy named Flex Jordan, who's a very talented young man. Levi Connors, who's I've got a chance to wrestle him, and he's an amazing athlete. He's got a good look about him. And there's so many good young talented guys out there that in reality, I honestly think the Ohio, Indiana region is completely underutilized as far as professional wrestling goes right now. When I was coming up, it was kind of a hotbed for wrestling with a lot of fantastic talent coming out of it. Well, the talent really, I mean, there's some bad, but I think there's some bad in every state, but the talent really hasn't changed much. It's just, I think the exposure has. And I think there are a few companies out there that are trying to change that. So, I mean, there's so many young guys out there that deserve props that I'm sure I'm forgetting some of them. But, you know, Duke Beefhammer is another guy that James Avery put out there that is he's really good at entertaining. And, yeah, there's a lot of guys, man. Anybody that you could think of that you've seen me wrestle that or seen me on YouTube wrestle that you would like to ask about or anything like that?
I remember this one guy, and I don't remember because he was with Rodney Rush. You know Rodney Rush?
I do remember Rodney Rush, yeah.
And I can't remember the guy he had with him. He came because he did all these crazy flips and flies.
Are you talking about Jason Quick, maybe? Or Carter Gray? Whoa.
Carter Gray.
Yeah. Carter Gray. Yeah, I don't even think. I mean, that was probably back in like 2008-ish, maybe 2007, 2008. Yeah, dude, that guy was crazy. He doesn't. I don't even think he wrestles anymore. But dude was fantastic. He's probably one of the best high flyers I've ever been in the ring with. Dude could do a standing shooting star into a leg drop. It was pretty much insane. He was very good, and I had quite a few little matches with him. I think I had like 3 or 4 solid matches with him. Not one of them was a bad one. He was I think he was trained by Dan the Beast Severin, actually. And yeah, he was a good kid, and I think he just had life just different things happen for him, so he just rode the train to another port and did his thing from there. But yeah, he was a good kid.
Yeah, I think I seen your match at IPW.
Yes, sir, IPW. Yeah. I had a lot of really, really good matches out there at IPW. I really like that place. It's a shame it doesn't run anymore. That's IPW Insanity Pro Wrestling, not Infinity Pro Wrestling, that currently runs in the Indiana area that I've got the pleasure to work for as well. But yeah, Insanity Pro, I wrestled a lot of great guys there. I wrestled a guy named Soldier Ant, which was a fantastic matchup. I wrestled Billy Rock there. I wrestled Delirious there. I wrestled Jimmy Jacobs there. I wrestled John Moxley there. I had a series of matches with Dustin Rayz there. I wrestled Sami Callihan there. I'm trying to think who. There's a lot more guys that I had the opportunity to work with there. All of which was great, honestly. Like I really liked my time there at IPW. They treated me really well, and they gave me some good opportunities. Yeah. So any of those matches that you would like to hear about, I will be more than happy to expand on them.
What about match with Soldier Ant? I'm on the East Coast, so I would.
What's that?
Your match with Soldier Ant? Your match with Soldier Ant?
Oh, Soldier Ant. Yeah. Actually, it was a while back. I'd never met him before, and he came in. And I think he literally just came back from his first tour of Japan at that point in time. So we got together and we started working, and it was a really good match. We gelled really, really well together. It was a lot of fun, and I actually still have the match somewhere. I don't think it's online anywhere, unfortunately, but it was a good, solid match. And he was the type of guy that could kind of just you could just feel, and because everybody works differently, and everybody does things a little bit different. And he was the type of guy that could do kind of my style a lot, as well as his own style, and do his own thing. So I think we gelled really, really well together. We would later work with again, but he had moved on from the soldier gimmick, and it was just somebody else, and still had that good chemistry, and still worked really, really well together, and really enjoyed that experience and working with him, and hopefully I'll get to continue to do that and get to work with him down the road.
So tell our listeners about Nate, because you brought his name up and I forgot to go back to it.
Yeah, Nate Wings is he's Dayton born and bred. He's also trained by Cody Hawk, as I was. He was just trained later. I think he's only been wrestling for about 3 or 4 years or something like that. He hasn't been wrestling very long. He's small, but he's very lucha-like. He's constantly trying to come up with new things to do and make himself stand out a little bit. And he seems to get he's another one of those guys that seems to get better every time I see him. He's always pushing himself to come up with better stuff and be more entertaining. And I've wrestled him. I think the first time I wrestled him was like 3 or 4 years ago, and every match we've had since then in some way has been a little bit better than the one before. We sometimes tag together as well for JCW, and Nate's awesome. And I think given the right opportunity, Nate can really make waves in professional wrestling, especially at least on the indie level. He's real good.
So
go ahead.
Tell our listeners about Dustin Rayz. The first time I seen him was at Cage of Death, and he hurt his leg.
Oh yeah. Dustin and I have known each other for a pretty good long time. We wrestled in IPW over the IPW Junior Heavyweight title, and we also wrestled a best of 7 series over the HWA Cruiserweight title around the same period of time. So Dustin and I have probably wrestled each other pretty close to, I don't know, probably around 50 or 75 times. Like, we've wrestled each other so much that it's kind of ridiculous. But then we went through, a period of time where we didn't really speak. We weren't really on shows together. And that was the period of time where he shattered his femur, or broke his femur bone at CZW. And, man, he came back rather quick from that. I know he came back, I want to say, I think 3 months after that, he was back, if that even. I can't really remember. But yeah, he came back, and he can still go. I think he took a little time off wrestling, but then he I know he won the CZW tag straps after he broke his leg with Eric Ryan, and he did pretty well for himself up in CZW for a good long time. Then he kind of took a little bit of a break, and now he seems to be back rolling again. And he came to RockStar Pro, and him and I had a series of brutal matches, one of which I ended up getting electrocuted in, and that was a fun experience. Not really, it kind of sucked. I have a big scar on my back from it. He gave me a brain buster on a chair, but we were next to an electrical outlet, and this was 15 minutes into the match, so we were both pouring sweat, and he gives me this brain buster on this chair, and my back rakes the electrical outlet open, and it shocks me. It basically electrocuted me pretty bad, and I roll we were just on a stage somewhere. So on top of getting a brain buster onto a chair that's on a stage, I also got electrocuted and then rolled all the way to the concrete floor, just rolled right off the side of the stage, bam, right onto the concrete floor. And I was laying there like, holy crap, I just lived through that. That's awesome, because, yeah, that's the last thing that pro wrestling needs is pro wrestler dies in an electrocution accident on live show. But yeah, we had that match, which I think was like just a Falls Count Anywhere type affair. And then we came back a month later, I believe, and did a dog collar match in which I chipped my tooth. The chain flew up and busted me in the mouth and chipped my tooth. And that still gets on my nerves to this day. And then he gave me a pile driver, a double underhook pile driver through a flaming table that night. That was it was a pretty brutal match. It won Match of the Year for RockStar Pro last year, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, Dustin and I have always been able to have some pretty good matches together. And this last series we had, I think, really brought out some deep things for us, and I was glad, although that, you know, I of course experienced a lot of pain throughout it, you know, being electrocuted, and I have stuff that I look at every day, big scar on my back, chipped tooth, and everything that reminds me constantly of these matches, and the toll that it took on me. I'm very glad that we had them, and yeah, it's Dustin's very good at what he does, and very glad that I've had the opportunity to have the matches I've had with him.
I would not want to go through what you went through. Go ahead.
They were very memorable. It was very memorable stuff. I think some of the fans still that were at that show live still talk about that match.
I have to clap my hands for you, my friend. I would have to stand up and give you a standing ovation for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were crazy. I mean, I think they're still available on iPay-per-view on DIY Wrestling as well. So if not, then they're available on RockStarProWrestling.com. I'm pretty sure they have a merchandise area. So if anybody would like to pick those up and watch those crazy encounters, they're more than welcome to.
And tell us, did you ever wrestle the Crist brothers?
Oh gosh, man, that is a long story. Dave and Jake and myself go back a pretty long time. I said I probably wrestled Dustin somewhere around 50 times. So I'm pretty sure between Dave and Jake, between tag matches and singles matches, this, that, the other, I probably wrestled them close to like 200 times or something. It's a ridiculous amount of times that they, one way or another, we've been in the ring together. It started back in 2005, I think was our first match together. It was a tag match. It was myself and my buddy Alan Wassilishin versus Dave and Jake Crist when they were the Irish Airborne, way before OI4K. I think they were just now starting to work with Ring of Honor a little bit, and we worked them at an HWA show, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. Like a few people saw us work there, and then they booked us to work on their shows, and that happened I don't know how many times. We worked together at IPW. We worked against each other at a place called Mad Pro Wrestling. We worked at each other at places we'd never even been before. Like, just they literally just saw us work because HWA had TV at the time, so they'd see us on TV or something, and they'd just be like, "Yeah, I want this match, so you guys come in and wrestle this match." And we wrestled each other so many times, it's ridiculous. One of the matches we had, we ended up doing a lot of gimmick matches at HWA. The promoter wanted us to do a best of 7 series, so we wrestled a best of 7 series. Each match in the best of 7 series had some kind of stipulation. So we wrestled one match that was a weapons match. We wrestled one match that was a falls count anywhere match. We wrestled one match that was like a submissions only match. We wrestled one match where we like switched partners. There was just nonstop amount of matches. I remember one of the matches that was I can't remember which one it was, but I remember Dave Crist brought in a steel chair, and he went to do a like the Sabu, triple jump moonsault thing where you step on the chair and then they springboards up to the rope, and then it's a moonsault on the guy. Well, he went to do it, and I guess he just like missed his footing or something, and he went off the chair and he went to hit the top rope, but he missed the top rope and he went to the middle rope, and then he couldn't get enough spring to get over the chair, and he ended up landing him back first on the rim of the chair. So it just like bent him over like backwards, and it was disgusting looking. It was just terrible looking, and that's a memory I think I'll never ever forget. One of the injuries that I partook in our little conglomerate of matches that we had at HWA was Alan and I were wrestling a match against this other tag team. And Dave and Jay came out, and they kind of antagonized us. And I was trying to do a dive, and at the time I just did this dive where I would just hit the ropes, and then I would run and basically clear all 3 ropes like a cross body and just kind of soar over. Well, at the time, my partner was on the apron, and I was trying to make a tag and do this dive at the same time. Well, I got the tag down, but I was so concentrated on making the tag that I kind of forgot to dive, really. Like, I forgot to give my all to the dive. And, to get over those ropes, you kind of got to jump really, really, really hard. Well, my feet clipped the top rope, so I didn't get all the way over. And I basically just went straight down into the ground and landed right on my head and basically concussed myself really, really bad. It's kind of a miracle that I didn't die from it. If Dave and Jay wouldn't have cushioned the blow a little bit, I possibly could have. It was pretty rough.
So you had to take the Crist brothers for you to be in here doing this interview with us.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. If it wouldn't have been for them, there's a chance that my career would have stopped at that moment. But yeah, that's just a few of the stories that I have with Dave and Jay. It's kind of funny how there was a period of time where we really didn't talk that much. We just kind of went our separate ways for a while. They went one way and I went another. But like our careers was always kind of coincided in one way or another, From HWA, went to IPW and IPW Mad Pro. Mad Pro, we did a tag team TLC match that I ended up not being able to walk out of. Like Dave tried to double stomp me through a table, and the table didn't break. It just kind of, it just stayed there. So it was just all his weight that came down on me. So it basically crushed me. But they really wanted to break that table. So Jay just puts me back on the table, and then he climbs up to the top rope, and he jumps through it. This time the table breaks, and it's like at the time I had long blonde hair, and it just ripped a chunk of my long blonde hair out. And I literally couldn't walk. Like somebody had to carry me up the stairs. I drove to the show that night, and I had to get somebody to drive my car back to my house, and then somebody followed them so they could take them home. And I couldn't walk for the next 2 days. I was useless. That's the type of physicality that usually happens whenever Dave and Jay and I all get in the ring together. It's pretty intense. Yeah, we've jacked each other up many a times.
Well, and I'm lucky I'm on this side of the microphone, not where you are.
Yeah.
I give you high spots, my friend. And
Well,
hold on, my dog's going nutty again.
it's all good, man.
So, sorry about that.
It's all right.
Tell us, there's another guy who's from Ohio, Alex Cologne.
Oh yeah, Alex. I think Alex is actually from PA, but he lives in Ohio now. And I love Alex, man. He's a great performer. He's a great wrestler. I think he's pretty dang underrated. I remember the first time I wrestled him was a couple years back or something like that. And I'd heard of him, but I'd never worked with him, and I think I'd only met him like once or twice prior to this. So when I found out that I was working him, I was pretty excited because he was among like the locker rooms and everything. He was considered very good, and he is very good. And at the time, I was still trying to get my feet under me because I had to take a full-time job, so I wasn't able to wrestle as much as I would have liked at that period of time. So Alex was kind of a bit of a test for me. Like I was like, all right, well, let me see if I can go with this guy still, if I still have that ability or whatever. And I got in there, and this match actually can be seen on YouTube. It's on RockStar Pro Wrestling Amped. And maybe I'll post it when I post this interview or something something. But yeah, I remember getting in there and starting to work with him and realizing, okay, this guy can seriously go. He can he knows what's going on. And that match to this day is probably one of my favorite matches. It kind of stands out to me as a pivotal match for me personally, because Alex, he came from the East Coast. He came from CZW, and he's well known out in that general area and among the locker room. And hopefully there are enough fans out there who really know Alex knows what's up, and he knows what he's doing. But he was like a measuring stick for me personally at that time. So to be able to get in there and go with him it meant a lot to me. And from that day forward, him and I have always had really good matches together. And I couldn't ask for a better opponent than Alex Cologne in reality.
So, do you know roughly how many matches you had with him?
I've probably, it's not anywhere near the amount that I've had with Dave and Jay or Dustin, but it's in double digits. It's probably somewhere around 15 to 20 or something, maybe. Most of them happened at RockStar Pro, and a lot of them actually are available to view on YouTube. I know we had that one, which was a while back, and then we had a couple last year, like 2 or 3 last year that were like back to back to back, 3 weeks in a row. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, if not all 3 of those, at least 2 of them are on YouTube, and they're very good as well. He's very versatile, and he's got a very unique style. He can kind of go in many ways. He's kind of Renaissance-y, kind of like I am, or a lot of Ohio guys are really. A lot of Ohio guys are kind of trained to be able to do many styles. So yeah, Alex is awesome.
And I'm gonna name some guys, and I don't know if you wrestled them because I know your name. I know your name. But how about AR Fox?
I've never wrestled AR Fox actually. I've kind of always wanted to, but I've never had the pleasure to work him. I've only been on, I think, like 2 or 3 shows with him even. I haven't even spoken to him many times, but I've watched him plenty of times, working in like PWG and CDW, and I think he did some stuff for Dragon Gate USA too, if I'm not mistaken. That I think I saw. So no, I unfortunately haven't got the opportunity to work in, but I'm sure that we will in the future. I'm sure that there will be an opportunity where that'll happen.
And what about a kid from Canada, Speedball Mike Bailey?
That's another guy that I would love to get the opportunity to wrestle. First time I met him with the best of the best, which he obviously did very well that night. But I think him and I we have similar backgrounds and similar styles in a lot of ways. So I think we'd do some real good stuff together, in my personal opinion. So hopefully that one won't be too far from happening either.
And there might be a name, and I don't know if you're going to know, but Teddy Hart. What do you think of him?
I've never met Teddy Hart. I've heard, the only thing I know about him is the things I've heard. I've heard he's a very unique individual. That's pretty much all I know about him. He's very creative in the ring and stuff. He can do some pretty amazing stuff, but the only thing I know about him is he's a unique guy. He's an interesting cat, if you will.
Well, I seen Teddy Hart against Trent Acid at the old ECW arena. They had a street fight. I wish you had checked that out. That was a great match.
Oh yeah, well I'll look into it and see if I can find it.
Yeah, Trent Acid was. You probably knew Trent, huh?
I'd never met Trent either. Like he knew people that I knew, and I knew people that he knew, but we never met each other before his unfortunate passing.
And so we're going to talk about the guys who are now up on the big stage. And I bet you,
all right.
I bet you had some great matches with all these guys.
Yeah, I mean, some of the guys that are up there, I did have some pretty dang good matches with.
Let's start with John Moxley. Some people know him as Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, John Moxley. John's the man. There's a reason why he's where he's at. He is one of a kind. He is unique. He's the type of guy that kind of when he was coming up, and we all kind of knew that he was destined to be, that he was going to get a job and he was going to make a ton of money in this business. And it was kind of unique because I remember, like, he's obviously younger than me, but he got into business like at a younger time than I did. I got in, I guess in my like 19, 20. I think he got in as soon as he could. Like, I think he went to his first training class before he was out of high school. So he got in faster than I did. So by the time I met him, I think I was like 23 or 24, and I think he was like 19. So I remember going to HWA, and one week he was there, and then the next he was in Puerto Rico, and it would just happen overnight. And then when he got back, he was there one day, and then the next day he was on Sunday Night Heat. And then it was just his career seemed to always kind of go, like it went fast. Unfortunately, until 2007 or 8 when HWA shut down. I would later learn that Mox he lived just like down the road from where I live. He lived literally 15 minutes away from me. And because of that, we would eventually become road buddies to some extent. We'd ride to some shows together, and John and I became pretty good friends. And he was kind of there through some difficult times for me, but in the ring, he was. It's almost unexplainable how good He just got everything, man. It was just like with ease. He just picked things up like things that other people would like struggle with for years until they finally got it. Like, oh, okay. He would like get in like 5 minutes. It wasn't hard for him. But he, like, we did have a ton of really, really good matches together. He always brought out the best in me, which I'm sure watching him on TV every week, people know that he has that ability to just bring out the best in people. But he also taught me a lot, which was unique, being that, you know, I was older than him. I'd been in the business longer than he had in a lot of ways, and but he was the one that could teach me things at times. Like I said, because he was one of those guys who just got stuff. And I remember all the matches we had kind of run together, but one that I distinctively remember was the only one that nobody ever recorded. We had one match in Norwood, Ohio for HWA, and we did this big build to it. I was the HWA American Lucha Corps champion at the time. He just came off of doing an angle with the HWA champion, which was at the time Jake Crist, and the American Lucha Corps title was kind of a newer title or whatever. They used that to replace the HWA Cruiserweight title, because at the time it was like we were all kind of smaller guys, so it kind of didn't make much sense to have an HWA heavyweight title and an HWA Cruiserweight title, so they kind of just dissolved the Cruiserweight into the HWA or the American Lucha Corps title. And basically Moxley decided, you know what, I want this title, is kind of how the angle went. So we wrestled on a Tuesday night or something, and it went to a time limit draw, which I have that match somewhere that I would love to put on a DVD someday, and hopefully I'll get to. And then we wrestled on Halloween night, actually, that year in Norwood, Ohio, and we had this match, and it was such a good match, and by the end of it, we were both so proud of it, and nobody recorded it, and then we were both so very disappointed that there was no proof of this match that we had, that Moxley, he bled buckets in this match. I kicked him in the face, and he ended up getting busted open from it, and he just bled everywhere. It was just blood everywhere. I mean, it was insane and disgusting and gross in so many ways. On Halloween night, John Moxley was bleeding all over Norwood, Ohio, and when we got done and found out that nobody recorded it, we were so upset and just so disappointed. Like, well, we just killed this place, and we just tore this house down, and the only people who saw it are the people that are in this building right now. And it wouldn't happen till I want to say 6 years later. I'm on Facebook, and a young lady who's a fan who happened to be in that building that night sent me a picture and said, look what I happened to find, just going through some old pictures, and she found pictures from this match. So I sent them to Moxley, and I was like, hey, dude, do you remember that match we had that nobody remembers because nobody recorded it? Some random fan just gave me pictures from it, and then, we had a little memory about that match, and it was cool that he, even being where he is and doing what he does, he still remembers that kind of stuff. And that's just one of the matches we had. He was the one guy who gave me my only world title match. It's arguable to say, but if you believe in the theory that a world title is a title that is defended overseas or defended in other parts of the world, then therefore it is a world title, which is usually how it works. But IPW and Sanity Pro, they Drake Younger was the champion. He went over to Germany, I believe it was, and he defended the title. So he brought it back. Moxley won it, and therefore, since it was defended in Germany, it was a world title. And that was kind of the theory of what it is. And if you believe in that theory, then it was a world title, and I like to believe in the theory. So whatever. But I had my last match at IPW was against John Moxley for their world title, and that one was a really solid match, and Mox was awesome. I think I also got to have one of his last Ohio matches before he went to Florida for FCW. So Mox is a awesome dude.
Yeah, it sounds like it, because I would like to know your road trips with them.
All right. I mean, they all kind of run together, but usually one thing I'll always tell people about Moxley is, he was a talker to some extent. He would tell me all kinds of stories of, going on different road trips and everything like that. But one thing that I always thought was funny was I would always drive on the way up. So I would drive on the way up, and I'm a pretty conservative driver, I guess. I guess is a good way to put it. I try not to be too crazy unless I'm running super late or anything like that. And I'm to some extent I'm kind of overcautious. So I would drive there, and so I would drive on the way there, and then we would do our show and all that jazz. And then Moxley always had the same driving preparation, at least when he was with me. We would always stop at the speedway, the first speedway we could find. So we'd stop at a speedway, and he would go in and use his speedy points to buy a coffee and a banana. And I think he would buy a Mountain Dew too. And then we would get in the car, and he would eat his banana, and he would put his coffee in between his legs. And then, although I had cup holders that he could have used, that he would rather have it in between his legs. So he put it in between his legs, and then he'd have his Mountain Dew, his phone, and his other hand. His Mountain Dew might have been in the cup holder. So he'd have his phone, and he'd be texting people, and then he'd have his banana, and then he'd have his coffee in between his legs, and he'd be driving with his knee while he's going 90 miles an hour down the highway, just with no cares in the world, holding a conversation with me while he's doing this. And for some odd unknown reason, anybody else you would think, okay, that's totally terrifying. This guy's not even got his hands on the wheel. He's not even paying attention to the road, because he's got to. You would have to think he's got to think about this hot coffee in his crotch. He's thinking about what he's texting to this person, because he's trying to get home fast, because Moxley was always going. He was constantly moving. He was constantly doing stuff. I don't even know if the man slept half the time. So when he's on his way home, or I'm going to go home, I'm going to get when I drop him off, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to sleep, because it's probably 2 or 3 in the morning at this point in time. I'm going to go to sleep because I got to get up and do things in the morning. Moxley's just screw it, it's fine. I'm going to go, and Moxley's going to go, and he's going to find somebody to hang out with. They're going to go do something. He may get home in the morning. He might not. Whatever. So he's thinking about, going somewhere and doing something. He's eating his banana. He's got this coffee in his crotch. He's holding the conversation with me, driving with his knee, going 90 miles per hour. I should have been terrified. But for some reason, I wasn't. It was it's Moxley. It's just what he does. Not a big deal.
Oh, man, you're making me laugh.
Yeah, he's a wild man.
And I apologize, but it's funny. And tell us, any rips did you guys put on each other?
No, actually, I've never really been one for ribbon, and Moxley really wasn't really one for ribbon either that I can recall. At least I never experienced any of them. I know of some pretty hefty ribs that other people have done to other people, but I can't remember who did what to who and everything like that. So thankfully, I'm kind of rib free in that way of thinking. So I haven't really experienced too many of those.
And what about Sami Callihan?
Sami, yeah. I've wrestled Sami. I haven't wrestled Sami nearly as many times as I've wrestled some of these other guys, but him and I have had quite a few memorable matches. One of the matches we had was at IPW for the. It was the finals of their Super Junior tournament, like 2008, I think, and I think the month prior, it's actually like the 5 months prior. The 5 months prior to that, he was doing nothing but wrestling Billy Rock, who was then the IPW Junior Heavyweight Champion. That was kind of a big title to them. And he was doing nothing but wrestling Billy Rock for this title, but he could never beat him. Well, the month prior, he was in a ladder match, and he won the title. And then this next month, they did the IPW Super Junior tournament. Now, the IPW Super Junior tournament meant the champion was automatically in the tournament, but he could lose the title at any point in time. So if he lost the first round, then he lost the title in the first round, and then the guy who beat him was then the champion, and then so on and so forth. So everybody basically, kind of expected Sami to go through the whole tournament and just own everybody. Me at the time, I was basically a tag wrestler at this point in time for that company, because me and my partner Alan were the Mavericks, and then Alan had he became a father, and that took top priority, which is totally understandable. So I became a singles guy, and basically I was just kind of there, and I was just kind of on shows. I mean, the crowd knew that I was good, and the owners they knew I was good as well. But the tournament kind of went on, and it got to the finals. It ended up being me and Sami. And this match actually is on YouTube. If you search Aaron Williams versus Sami Callihan, you'll find it. And we had a match, and Sami put me over really well, and he even said some wonderful words to me after the match was over, and Sami's always been very cool to me. Even though we weren't exactly the closest, I wasn't as close to him as he was to other people. We had a mutual respect, and he was very, very cool to me. But that's one of the memories I have of Sami. Another one I have is we did in Middletown, Ohio. We did this big Survivor Series type match with like myself, Jake Crist, I think Dave Crist, and a few other guys, which I can't remember right now. And on the other side was John Moxley and Sami Callihan and like three other guys, if I'm not mistaken. And we're having this match. And it gets down to myself and Jay Crist versus Moxley and Sami. Well, me and Sami are in the ring, and we're doing stuff, and he hits the ropes, and he's coming back at me, and I go to leapfrog him, but he catches me and power bombs me. And when he power bombs me, I just go black. I just don't remember anything at all from that point on. I don't remember anything. And apparently what had happened is I jumped really high, and Sami just kind of reached up as high as he could to grab me and pull me down. And when he pulled me down, I just, I basically went back of the head first. So it was just all the back of my head. Boom. Knocked me out cold. So next thing I remember is I'm basically at the entranceway, and I'm like on my face, and I couldn't figure out how I got there. So I crawl through the entryway because the match is still going on, because it was like Survivor Series elimination style. So Jay is in there with Moxley and Sami, and I just kind of like look back and confused, kind of crawl back, and there's a trash can like right when I come through the entranceway, and I just kind of stand on my feet, and I puke in the trash can, and then I go and I walk to my bag, and then somebody comes over to me, and they're like, dude, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. I think I might have got knocked out. And they're like, really? That's crazy. And I was like, yeah. And then Sami came back there, and he's like, dude, are you all right? And I was like, yeah, I think so. And he's like, I was like, I just don't remember anything past the power bomb. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I don't remember anything past the power bomb. And he's like, you kept wrestling for like another 10 minutes. I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, like you kept wrestling. Like, so I didn't remember anything after that power bomb, but apparently I wrestled for another 10, 15 minutes or so, completely concussed. Then I got in my car and drove home that night. It was good times. And a funny little side note to Sami didn't ride with me all that much, but whenever he did, which I think was like a total of 3 times, all 3 times he rode with me, I got a speeding ticket.
So who was driving, you or Sami?
It was always me, and like it was always some like weird happenstance. Like to this day, I don't think I actually was speeding any of the times, but somehow I got pulled over for speeding. One of the times, I'm pretty sure this guy, the cop, clocked the semi that flew by me, and clocked that semi. The guy flew by me, and then he pulled me over because the semi was long gone, and I was just beside the semi at the time. Excuse me. So he. I kind of I got his ticket.
So that's
cool. What I like to tell myself. Yeah, that's what I like to tell myself.
So you had crazy with them two. So what about Drake Younger? Can you have any stories about Drake?
I don't have any. I never got to wrestle Drake. Like I think 2 promotions were always trying to make it happen. And it just always fell through, and something always happened, and I never, ever got to wrestle Drake, except for in a battle royal one time, and it was for like 5 minutes. Oh no, and a tag match we had one time, and that was a fun match, but it was early in my IPW days. It was myself and my partner Alan versus Chuck Taylor and Ricochet and Drake Younger and Scotty Vortex. And that was definitely a fun time. Back when Ricochet was I don't know, probably like 130 pounds, and he had Cat Williams hairstyle. I think those were the days.
So you missed them days, huh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were fun days. I mean, it's funny to think about how many guys that I have traveled with or I've been in the ring with that have gone on to do fantastic, amazing things. And I mean, unfortunately for me, like I took a little time off, and I had some personal stuff I had to deal with, so it kind of halted my growth and stuff like that. But hopefully that's not going to be a thing that continues. I mean, because I'm very happy with my career, but I do want it to get better. But in IPW alone, I mean, if you look at the roster that IPW had, which was Sami Callihan and Dave and Jake Crist and John Moxley and Ricochet and Chuck Taylor and quite a few other guys that are pretty well known indie names now. And then you look at the roster from HWA that I was a big part of, or well, I was a part of, not really necessarily a big part of, but was a part of. You have guys like Nigel McGuinness and Chad Collier and BJ Whitmer and later on Sami Callihan and Jake Crist, Dave Crist, and John Moxley, and his name is guy at TNA now, but I can't remember what his name is in TNA. But for us, he was Dick Rick. What is that guy? What is his name?
Big Rick.
His name. He was in the WWE. He was under a developmental for a while. His name was Slate Randall, I think, in WWE or in NXT or something. I can't remember what his TNA name is. It might be Eli something.
Big E.
But
Big E or something like Big E or something. A Jackson or something.
I cannot remember to save my life. But he was among us as well. There was a lot of very, very talented guys in that area, and a lot of guys that came through. Kyle O'Reilly was a guy that was in IPW, and Davey Richards came through there quite a few times. Tony Kazina came through there quite a few times. It's just a crazy amount of extremely talented guys that I've had the opportunity to be in the ring with or share a locker room with. That can make me look back and be like, yeah, my career was totally well worth it. I just got to work with Chris Hero not that long ago. That was awesome. There's so many fantastic guys that I came from a crop of them that I'm very lucky to have. I'm very blessed to have had them in my career at one point in time, and stuff like that. And it's a shame that some of these places had to shut down or went out of business the way they did, because some of these places were like a crop for outstanding independent talent.
So, did you ever wrestle Kevin Owens as Kevin Steen?
No, I unfortunately never got to wrestle him either. I didn't really get to work with any of those guys. I never got to work with Generico or Steen, mainly because when those guys were not at Ring of Honor or something, they were PWG, which I've never got to go to California and wrestle and stuff like that. So we just and they those guys. I haven't reached that pinnacle yet, I guess. I'm not a guy that promotions fly in or anything like that. I'm still trying to make that wave and make that type of impact where a promoter will look and be like, okay, that's a guy I definitely need on my show. I believe I believe I am that guy, because honestly, if you don't believe you are that guy, then you shouldn't be in the business. But I believe I am that guy. I just haven't got the opportunity to really shine yet. Like I said in our last interview, Best of the Best was kind of a starting point for me in a lot of ways. Not a starting point for me in my career, but a starting point for me in the aspect of getting my name out there in front of the right people. It's unfortunate the way things went for me after Best of the Best with my knee surgery and everything. But I'm back to moving again, and I'm hoping that I won't be not that guy for much longer.
Two more names I would like to bring, and then we'll try to wrap it up soon. How about Claudio?
I'm sorry?
Claudio
Castagnoli. Yeah, I got to be on a couple shows with him. Him and Hero did, when they were Kings of Wrestling, and they were doing that stuff. They came through IPW, and I want to say they came through HWA too. They didn't work with me. I do believe they worked with Dave and Jay. So I didn't get to wrestle them. Claudio was cool though. I mean, he was very nice and polite. Man, he's tearing it up there in the E. I really wish they'd give him more, but I think his time will come, and when it does, I think it'll be awesome.
And I know, and I wish I love to see you two go at it. Pac.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. I've never met him. I don't even think I've been on a show with him or anything like that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Hopefully, Vince McMahon will call me one day and say, hey, come sign a contract, come wrestle all these guys. When that happens, then you'll get to see it on TV. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, and one more name here. And I would love to see you on WWE because I think you are the next big thing.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
And one name who has the title for WWE is Seth Rollins.
Yeah, Rollins. I have met him a few times. I didn't work with him, but back when he was running around as Tyler Black, I met him. He did a American Luchador show, which was a company that I do believe Sami Callihan and Dave Crist kind of ran together. He came in and worked with Billy Rock, and he was kind of standoffish, but he did speak and everything like that. And I think this was like really on his rise. I think it was right before he became Ring of Honor champion, and I think he was kind of standoffish just because he didn't know that many people in the locker room or anything like that. He wasn't rude, but he just kind of kept to himself. But I got the opportunity to go up and do extra work for the WWE a couple years back, and it was right when the Shield was like super hot, and he was very cool and very polite because I knew Moxley or I knew Ambrose, and he was very polite and everything like that. And he's doing pretty well for himself. I don't know how I feel about him using the pedigree. It's kind of weird, but
Yes.
but
well,
other than that, he's.
I think it's going to happen, and this is my theory. It's going to be Triple H against him down the line.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, that's a good thought.
You know what I mean? Because it'd be sensible, but I hope it ain't for the title.
Yeah.
Because I think
I get you.
I think it should go to the next, like John Moxley or Kevin Steen, next young guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I really. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but that period of time when Ambrose and Rollins were doing their angle back and forth, and Ambrose or Moxley stole the title. I was really hoping they'd give him a little bit of a run, just because. I mean, he's different, Moxley, like what you see on TV is what you get. Like he's John Moxley, and he's just a different cat. He's like. I don't really want to compare him to people, but if I had to, I would have to say, he's kind of like Austin was when Austin was starting his run. He was just an incredibly different dude, and he was something you didn't expect, and somebody different. And I think the fans were really starting to get behind him. And I mean, I'm not going to say they pulled the rug out from under him because it's wrestling. Everything changes in a whim to some extent, and just because he's not getting a major push right now doesn't mean that they're, not planning on making a big deal out of him in the future. But I was kind of hoping, that they'd give him a little run there. But it wasn't in the cards yet, so we'll just have to wait a little bit longer. But I don't see. I see John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, whatever. I see him being a WWE champion. At some point in his career.
And you said you were at a WWE. Were you on a dark match or something?
I just went and did the extra work and did a little tryout a couple years back, and it was cool. It almost didn't happen. It's a slightly funny story. I was sitting on my couch on I think a Friday evening or a Thursday evening, and my phone rang, and I looked at it, and it said there was a phone call coming to me from Connecticut. And I looked at my wife, and I just kind of showed it to her, and I laughed. I'm like, "Look, babe, my Vince McMahon's calling me," and I just ignored it because I'm weird about that stuff. If I get a phone number that calls me, I just don't answer it. I just kind of look at it like, well, if it's important, you'll leave me a voicemail. and then I'll check my voicemails later. Well, apparently the next couple of days, they got pretty busy, so I didn't get to check my voicemail. So Sunday rolls around, and I'm like, oh, I better check my voicemail. So I check my voicemail, and a few of them go by, and they're just like stuff that I kind of already knew about. The third one comes, and it's a lady, and she tells me her name, which I can't remember right now, and she's like, yeah, this is so-and-so with World Wrestling Entertainment. We're going to be in this place on Monday and Tuesday at this place. We just wanted to give you the opportunity to come in and be an extra talent for us, do a tryout, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, are you serious? So, of course, I freaked out, and I got off the phone, and I immediately tried to call her back, but she didn't answer because it was Sunday, and I was like, well, I have obviously missed this opportunity, and it's not going to happen, because I think they were in Pittsburgh on Monday, and then they were going to be in Cincinnati, in my hometown, on Tuesday. So I was just like, well, this sucks. I just missed this opportunity. At the time, I worked third shift, and I went in to work that evening, and just kind of feeling completely bummed about it. I kind of blew the opportunity, sucked really bad, and blah, 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 and feeling really, really bad about myself. And, I think we got about 6 o'clock in the morning or something, and I was like, well, I think I'm just going to shoot her a text or something and let her know I'm definitely interested. That way, in case, something happens, at least then I'll, find out about it, and maybe we can make it work out. And I sent her a text. I'm like, hey, this is Aaron. I just want to let you know I'm definitely interested in coming and doing that if it's still available, blah, blah, blah. And I just sent the text. I kind of went throughout my day, and I think I got off at like 11 o'clock on that day. So I get off at 11 o'clock. My dad happens to call me that day, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, kicking myself in the butt right now because I should have answered my phone on Thursday. But I didn't, and I kind of told him what happened. And my phone goes off, and I just look at it, and it's her. And she texts me back, and she's like, okay. She's like, can you call me immediately? So I get off the phone with my dad, and I call her, and she's like, okay, we got somebody to fill your spot. However, they had something come up, and they couldn't come. So can you still do it? And I was like, well, yeah, I can still do it. And she's like, okay, well, you need to be in Pittsburgh by 2. So it's 11 o'clock. I live in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh's a 5-hour drive or something like that. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to make it. And she's like, okay, well, just go, and this is what you need, and this is what you got to have, blah, da, 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 da. So I go, and I get there super late, which kind of sucks because on Mondays you just kind of get to sit and talk to William Regal for hours, apparently, and just pick his brain, which, gosh, I wish I'd have got to do that. But then, Monday happened, and I went Tuesday the next day and had my tryout, and it was a very cool experience. And Monday, I got to talk to Moxley for a long time during Raw. And, it was cool. It was a very, very cool experience. At the time, I don't think I didn't have what I have now, which is more of a character and more of a gimmick. So. I was just kind of like a white meat baby face type deal. And, and they told me what I, needed to do and everything. And I've been trying to heed their advice and make myself a better entertainer, a better wrestler, a better character, a better performer ever since. So.
And you want to tell our listeners where you're going to be in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be every Wednesday night. I'm in Dayton, Ohio, for RockStar Pro Wrestling, 1106 East 3rd Street. If you're in the Dayton, Ohio area, and you are a wrestling fan, you should definitely be making your way to 1106 East 3rd Street because it's some of the best wrestling that you're going to see. A lot of passionate guys, including myself. And I think here, what is the date today? It is the
11th.
The 11th. Okay, it's the 11th. So let's see here. Friday is the 14th. I'll be in Jeffersonville, Indiana, for Emerge, I think, Pro Wrestling, or Elite Pro Wrestling. Can't remember what the name is right now. It's at a place called The Arena in Jeffersonville. I can't remember the address right off the top of my head. In a couple of weeks, the Friday the 21st, I'll be in wrestling for War, Ohio, or War Wrestling, and the Allen County Fair in Allen County, Ohio, which I think is up in Lima, Ohio, the Lima, Ohio area. And I think that's all I have right now off the top of my head. I don't have my day book in front of me, which I probably should. And I'm currently taking bookings as well. So if you're a booker and you want the Baddest Man Alive on your show, then you could reach me on Facebook at Aaron Williams. You can also email me at buzzsaw.williams@gmail.com. And if you just want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Planet Williams. I'm also on Instagram at the same handle, at Planet Williams. And yeah, I think that's all the stuff I have to plug. If you come to my shows, then I usually have merchandise. I have T-shirts, pictures, stuff of that nature. Hopefully we'll be getting some more T-shirts in the near future. Most people should know that I'm a huge martial arts movie fan. So if you're a martial arts movie fan, most of my T-shirts have something to do with a martial arts movie that I love. So yeah.
Hey, my friend, it was great talking to you for two-part story, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me, man. I had a great time talking. I like to talk, apparently.
Hey, like I always say to my guest, this is not the Total Chaos Pecaw show. This is your show, the Aaron Williams show.
Well, thank you, man. I truly do appreciate it. Thank you for putting it out there and helping me, get my story, a little bit of the stuff about me out, and it's greatly appreciated.
And my friend, if anytime you want to come on, you just look my name up, and I'll put you on. This door is always open for you.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it, brother.
And have a good night, my friend.
You too.
Thank you again, sir.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was Aaron Williams, a next future star. And I hope to see him in the next spot because he's got it. He is the next star. And if anybody in the WWE is listening to this, sign this guy. He's got the whole package. So that is Total Chaos Pecaw for tonight. And I hope you enjoy this interview because I did. I love listening to indie wrestling guys. So, Total Chaos Pecaw. Have a good night. Goodbye.